it's not really subverting genre expectations anymore. That the main killer is female. That's not
Yeah.
enough anymore. I mean,
No, we've had Killing Eve, we've had Nikita, so that
sure,
in and of
yeah.
itself, yeah.
There's definitely a bit of Nikita in the
Yeah.
relationship that she has with Sol Kyung-gu's character. You know, this guy. Hello and welcome to our show. My name is James, joined as ever by my friend Steve. On this episode, we are talking Byun Seung-hyun's Korean thriller Kill Boksoon.
Hey, but before we begin, it'd be a great help to us if you went ahead and subscribed. You know, we're almost at 2,000 subscribers. You could help us get over the top. Really would appreciate it. Cost you nothing. And just as a reminder, we do spoilers here, so you've been warned. James, let's talk Kill Boksoon.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, who doesn't love a good Korean thriller? And this is a title that has been gaining some traction. It premiered at Berlin and it's been out on Netflix for a couple of weeks. And I thought, yes, let's do it. It's Jeon Do-yeon, it's Sol Kyung-gu. These are big Korean stars, and it'll be worthy of our attention. So, essentially, just to introduce the plot, the title Kill Boksoon is a pun on the main character's name, whose name is Gil Boksoon, played by Jeon Do-yeon, who is one of the biggest, the greatest, the most highly acclaimed Korean actresses of her generation, if not of all time. And this is a little bit of a change of pace for her because she is playing Gil Boksoon, aka Kill Boksoon, who is the arguably the most successful, the most highly acclaimed assassin of her entire industry. She also has a 15-year-old daughter. She's been doing this for a very, very long time, but she's starting to kind of get to the end of her contract because she works for a sort of a private organization of killers called MK, and she is kind of considering not renewing her contract and retiring and being a full-time mother. Her daughter is now 15 and is, needing her more than ever before. And then in a crunch moment when she is faced with a particular client, it's the teenage son of a prominent politician who is in the news anyway, because apparently he pulled some strings to get him into a top school, and that's caused a scandal. Kill off the son, make it look like a suicide, and she pulls back and she's like, you know what? I'm having second thoughts, much to the displeasure of her mentor / boss, Chairman Cha, played by Sol Kyung-gu. So, Steve, where do we go with Kill Boksoon?
Well, when I first saw this, James, I was thinking, we've had superhero academies for kids. We've had Magic Hogwarts Academy for kids. We've had academies for the gods' children that are up and coming. Now we've got assassin school for young up and coming assassins. And it's interesting how this whole trope has kind of developed over the last 20, 30 years of having academies that are operating under the norms of normal society. We have essentially the Hogwarts for assassins that is just under the noses of everything that's going on, with its own rules and its own little school guidelines of how the pupils are raised up and kind of sent out into the world of killing people. And so it's fun, and I don't mean trope in a negative way either, because some of these tropes are fun. And in this film, I thought in Kill Boksoon, the trope worked. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, the thing that strikes me immediately is, oh, well, they've seen John Wick.
Well,
for sure.
Yes,
This is a movie about a secret underworld society of assassins, a criminal underworld where there are sort of rival companies, rival organizations, rival agencies, if you like, of professional killers, and they all seem to work in sort of, what should we say, sort of in sort of fairly comfortable competition with one another until their paths sort of cross every now and again, and that causes things to really kick off.
It's the mutual respect that makes these movies work. It's you have the honor among assassins, honor among thieves. Again, until, like you say, somebody gets crossed. I mean, one of the best scenes in the film is when, Kill Boksoon has these other friends that she hangs out with regularly that are assassins, and they understand one another and they share their foibles with one another. It's the one place that they can go and kind of let their hair down a little bit and just kind of be themselves. And as soon as the word comes out that, hey, take her out, you'll get moved to the top. Boom, those respectful friends immediately go into action to kill her, which is a little bit depressing to a certain degree. I found myself, it was bittersweet because I thought, oh, nobody likes to see that. But wow, that was an interesting turn of events.
Well, it's quite literally, it's like, wow, are they really so mercenary? Yes, they're mercenaries, quite literally mercenaries.
That is what they do. Yes.
They do. They kill people for money, even if it's their best friend. And, I like that she has this kind of sort of secret relationship with her junior as well, with the young guy there. And even they sort of have I think they're even in bed when they have the conversation. It's like, yeah, but if the call came out, you'd kill me, right? And they're like, yeah. And they kind of understand the situation they're in, and they know what it's all about, and they kind of have to respect that that's the sort of the Wild West that they live in.
Mm-hmm. And there's this, I think there's a theme. You see it in John Wick, and it definitely came across in this movie where, and it played out in the academy scene where one of the instructors comes and says, essentially, and they're talking about these police people, they're identifying people in the police that are very skilled and yet never seem to quite be able to, for whatever reason, achieve the level of success that they feel that they are deserving. But you are special. You are, that little thing that sets you apart, that makes you feel different in the world. That's you being special, and we recognize it. And you can come and join our organization, be part of it. And I thought how that kind of messaging really helps attract even, say, young men to watch movies like this, because you get disenfranchised, you get alienated young people that feel like they're very skilled but are not appreciated. And this movie is essentially kind of hammering home that message of, you're special. No one else understands it, but we understand it. Come join us. I mean, obviously it's a movie and it's all, fantasy, but I found as that theme was coming forward and that actual line was delivered, I thought I can see one of the attractions, particularly for young men in movies like this.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I kind of really appreciated was how even in this kind of underworld of secret assassins, it really did a great job of showing the sort of the corporate structure and the hierarchy that you would experience in any kind of corporate job, any kind of office job, where she is the undisputed kind of like golden girl of the whole thing. And they can only get sort of, they're always talking about like this they're left with the scraps that she, the jobs that she kind of rejects and what have you. And she was like, oh, but don't worry, your time will come, you're just not ready yet. And she was using all these kind of, all this jargon and all these phrases that I've heard so many times, particularly people I know who work in Korean offices or work for Korean middle management or whatever, that they're often being sort of pampered but placated with exactly these kind of phrases like, oh, you're not ready yet, and your time will come, and I'm helping you up. But really what they're doing is they're actually putting their boot on you and keeping you down and saying, actually, know your place, stay down. I'm the big cheese here. And I felt that all of that was actually played out kind of really well, uncannily accurate compared with what I've heard.
That's a good point, because we are dealing with cultures, I mean, living here in Hong Kong, that are a little more hierarchical in nature than a Western structure, which tends to flatten out. These structures are hierarchical, and there is a pecking order, and there is a definite desire to make sure that you stay at the top of that pecking order. And like you highlighted, there is kind of a parody of corporate structure, because you get people all being nice to one another, but if they can move up at the expense of somebody else, boom, they do it. But yeah, I thought this movie played well on a number of those areas. But at the end of the day, it's not a deep film. It's a fun film, and this is very, as you said, it's very John Wickish.
Oh yeah, I mean this movie isn't really doing anything new. What it's doing is, or I suppose, if you can accuse it of doing anything new, what it's doing is it's taking two or three very easily recognizable genres, or storylines and blending them together. So you've got this sort of very super stylized John Wick style tale of underworld assassins, and the action set pieces are great. The cinematography is great. The choreography is very slick, and there's a lot of long takes and inventive camera work, and super stylish production design and all of that kind of stuff that we've come to expect from like a John Wick movie. You've also at the center got this mother-daughter relationship as well. I suppose it's not really subverting genre expectations anymore that the main killer is female. That's not enough anymore. I mean,
no, we've had Killing Eve, we've had Nikita, so that
there's definitely a bit of Nikita in the relationship that she has with Sol Kyung-gu's character. This kind of mentor where there is kind of a sort of romantic relationship there, even if it's not consummated and it's only one way. There is a kind of tease. Is he the father kind of thing? Isn't he the father? It's never quite, I think, confirmed one way or the other there. But you've also, at the center of it, you've got this story of a single mum who's doing what she can for her daughter, and her daughter is going through some very, real struggles of her own. She has just been sort of outed at school as being gay, which has caused her girlfriend to kind of turn against her. The boy who uncovered it is trying to blackmail her into a relationship with him, and she's about to lose her place at this elite academy where the mother is just like all the other tiger mums and really wants her to go to this elite school. She's like, you wouldn't like it if you get kicked out and you have to go to public schools, and doesn't seem to understand her daughter at all. I mean, she's the mother. She's the one who thinks that she is leading the double life and is keeping all the secrets away. But actually, what she comes to discover is that her daughter is just as complex and just as secretive as she is, and neither of them really sort of know each other. So the movie is as much about this mother and daughter sort of pulling back the layers and opening up to one another, perhaps for the first time ever, as it is about sort of literal survival.
Yeah, the element with the daughter obviously does elevate it beyond just the John Wick type of, it's just killing from beginning to end. And you can see echoes of Leon the Professional in there as well. The assassin who has to develop this very complicated relationship with a minor who each is learning from the other. And I thought this film did it well. I thought there were some other elements that I don't know if I've seen this before done like this, but I really loved how Jeon Do-yeon's Gil Boksoon's character, how sometimes it would seem like she's going to die, and then you realize she's in her own mind fortress, and she's kind of played out the whole thing, the whole exchange, the whole fight sequence in her mind, looking for weaknesses and realizing, oh, nope, I'm going to die if I go that way. Going to die if I go that way. I thought that was very interesting, and I liked how that played out in the film.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I've ever seen that before. The only thing I thought of that I've seen that's remotely similar to that was in the Robert Downey Jr. version of Sherlock Holmes. There are a couple.
I was just going to say Sherlock Holmes. Benedict Cumberbatch does something similar as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's the whole thing in like Infinity War where he's like, "There's 14 million different outcomes, and this is the only one that works." There's the scene at the end where she's finally facing off against her boss, and she's imagining all the possible different ways that this fight is going to go, and she can't see a way that she's going to win. And I thought that's kind of fun, and it works visually really, really well, where you've got all these overlapping sort of possibilities, and it gives you some kind of insight into how maybe not, how she's been wired essentially by being trained this way. I also.
I was just going to say that whole concept there relates to the video game generation too, where we get to save the game, try this route. Oh, nope, that's that. I die that way. Load game. Let's try this one. Let's try this one. Is there a possibility that I can move forward, or do I need to restart the game from the beginning and start this again? And so this does play to the video game generation. This is what we understand.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciated how many of the sort of pivotal characters in the movie were female as well. It's not only sort of her and her daughter, but there is director Char's, or there's Chairman Char and director Char, right? Who are brother and sister. So he is Chairman Char, and she is director Char, played by Esom, who is his sister and is kind of the hands-on kind of day-to-day manager of the company, and kind of hates Gil Boksoon and is jealous of her, and you kind of get the impression that she's jealous of the intention that her brother gives her a little bit. You know,
Yes, I think so.
There's a slight sort of incestuousness suggested there, but so she's kind of more of an antagonist, but also kind of really like the relationship that Boksoon has with a character is Youngji, her intern, who is kind of the surrogate daughter. It's the daughter who does get me, the daughter I can be honest with, and I really liked her character.
Yeah.
Although, well, I think she was a little shortchanged at the end.
Yeah, when she dies, it's and that's the thing is even Esom's character Chamin, when she dies, one of the thoughts that was occurring to me, James, is I'm really enjoying these characters and I'm enjoying their interaction and their character development. And the 2 hour and 17-minute running time is bloated, and immediately I'm going to complain about it being too long. But I think it also gave a little extra time for these little nuances of relationships to be fleshed out a little bit more than just a standard, maybe John Wick going from beginning to end as a kill machine. I really felt like they paused for a few minutes to develop these relationships. And I would have liked to have seen this almost as a 6 or 8 part miniseries and have it developed even more fully. It's too bad because they killed off the characters that I found were amazingly interesting and would have liked to see how they would have developed going forward.
Yeah, I think this would have actually worked as a K-drama, perhaps better than it works as a movie. I think there was more you could have done with the school and with the daughter and with the academy as well, the assassin academy and all of that kind of stuff. I think much like in the first John Wick movie, if you like, it sort of hints at what is going on in this sort of criminal underworld without really exposing it all to you. And I think it leaves a lot of material just sort of superficially developed. Not least, if you remember right at the very beginning, Boksoon has a standoff against he's Korean, but he's a Yakuza. He's a Japanese Yakuza. Played by Hwang Jong-min, who is a huge actor. I don't know if you recognize him, but he's a massive star in Korea. And I was like, oh, this is fun. At first the movie starts and I was like, is this kind of like a flash forward to the end of the movie? Are we now going to jump back and it's going to be, how did we get to this point? But then it's not. And I was like, oh, okay, is this going to be sort of a good excuse for some cameos by some really big names that all of her targets are going to be like really big stars? And it wasn't that either. But I thought if you had it as a series where kind of each episode was structured around her next mission or whatever it was, you could have had, it would have been an opportunity where you could have had all these like really big starry cameos in there instead, which was something that I was like, oh, okay, are they going to go with that? But it was great. I mean, seeing Hwang Jung-min there at the beginning, he was great,
To answer your question, I didn't recognize him, but I subsequently did my research on the film and realized he's a big star and
he's huge.
Yeah. So I thought that whole sequence was fun. It kind of set the tone for where the film was going to go.
Absolutely. I mean, and just for Jeon Do-yeon, this is very different to the kind of things that you normally see her in. She is very much a sort of, I was trying to think of who her equivalent is in Hollywood, really. I mean, because the obvious thing to say is like, oh, she's Korea's Meryl Streep, but she's not that old. She's considerably younger. She's about, I think, 50. She's just about to hit 50, I think. So she's more like sort of Cate Blanchett, if you like.
Right.
She is the classy actress that does the big dramas that go and play at Cannes. She won Best Actress at Cannes like 10 years ago for a movie called Secret Sunshine with Song Kang-ho. And this is the kind of thing she normally does. I mean, she's Sol Kyung-gu, who plays the chairman, her boss in this movie. They have played a couple before in a very weepy drama called Birthday from a few years ago, which is about parents of a school kid who dies in the Seawall ferry disaster. And it's about them getting over the tragedy of that. It's a very kind of like dour movie. But that's the kind of thing you're used to seeing her do. And so seeing her here, swinging hatchets and swords and guns and, kicking people, it was like, oh, okay, great. This is her John Wick movie, if you like. And I think she's great. You wouldn't know that she's not used to doing this kind of thing.
No, to be honest, though, as you say that, it makes me think that I can see that she's not primarily a martial artist. Obviously there was a lot of editing. There was a lot of things that were done to kind of accentuate. Obviously, she's in good shape and she can do everything. But a few times I thought, is she a martial artist? Because the Korean actresses better than I do. So I didn't know her background. A lot of John Wick folk. Keanu Reeves is not really known originally as a martial artist, but ever since The Matrix and all the training he's done over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, would you classify Keanu Reeves as a martial artist?
Well, no, he's very open about saying, I'm not, and I can't do it. I can do movie kung fu, because people always ask him in interviews, how skilled are you? What can you do? And right. I think there's a degree of modesty, but at the same time, I think he's like he knows that he's a performer and he learns the routines for the scenes. But I think outside of that, I think he's probably kept up some jiu-jitsu or so. But no, he certainly doesn't class himself as a martial artist.
Okay, I didn't realize that. He stays in his lane.
Sure, yeah. I mean, compared with someone like Scott Adkins or Donnie Yen or something like that, who are absolutely, they are athletes, they're martial artists. But first and foremost.
Well, James, as we draw this to a close, we need an instrument of measure. How are we going to rate Kill Boksoon?
It has to be 400-year-old. Oh no, it has to be a bloodied blade, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah. No.
That we hand to one another in symbolic fashion.
Yes. How many bloody blades are you going to give Kill Boksoon?
Well, I was pleasantly surprised by this, actually. Mm-hmm. It's not reinventing the wheel. Mm-hmm. Nor does it aspire to. I think there was an opportunity to maybe do it as a series, but I think what it does, it attempts a lot of things. It doesn't hold back on the action and the style, and it wants first and foremost to entertain in the way that these kind of Korean revenge thrillers do so well. But I really appreciated the drama side of it as well. I really liked the mother-daughter relationship. I really liked the mother-intern relationship. They really worked for me. And it didn't spill over into kind of histrionic melodrama like also the Koreans love to do. And so I liked sort of the restraint in that department and the excess in the action. And I felt that they found a kind of nice balance, which ended up being just a nice, slickly polished action vehicle that was kind of perfect for a sort of a Friday night piece of entertainment. So I think more people should check it out. I'm going to give it a nice solid 4 bloodied blades out of 5.
James, for all the reasons you mentioned, and I'm also going to just highlight something that you made me think about, was one of the things that turns me off in a lot of films is manufactured teenage angst. I really shut down when it just seems like when a teenager is acting completely at odds with anything that would realistically happen in real life. It's just manufactured angst. I never felt that at all. I felt a genuine love between a mother and daughter from the beginning of the film that was strained by the events in the film, the different expressions that they're coming to terms. She's a teenager. There's different aspects. It all seemed very real to me. It didn't seem manufactured. It didn't leave me with that feeling of, oh gosh, another teenage angst movie. I really cared about where this relationship was going and the mutual respect they really had for one another. And so that, along with everything you just said, I love the action sequences. I love the Academy and Assassin's Academy. I want a whole spin-off series about the Assassin's Academy. So I'm going to give it, you're always a bit more of an action person than I am. Understand when I give it, when I give it 3.5, understand that I am highly recommending this film. I enjoyed it immensely.
Absolutely. Okay, well, that's Kill Boksoon. Let us know if you have seen it, whether you agree with us. Jeon Do-yeon, what's your favorite performance? Obviously, she's more of a drama one, but how do you think that she fared as an action heroine, and other films of this genre that you love? Let us know in the comments.
Hey, until next episode. Bye-bye.
You're wonderful to see. You ought to be in pictures. Oh, what a hit you would be.